It's a great day in Nevada, and you are listening to the Nevada Nice Podcast. Hello, everybody. This is Brett Barker, and I'm joined with Stephanie Badger from Nevada Nice, and we also here with Wade Presley with the Nevada Community Band. And Wade, tonight, I know you just finished up your first concert of the 20th season, and I know that's super exciting. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about kind of the genesis of the community band and where that came from.
Sure, I'd love to. So, as you said, this is our 20th season, and the Nevada Community Band started as an idea from a Leadership Nevada group. And the original idea was that it was to be a Nevada Community Orchestra, because one of the people involved, Rob Bacon, played the cello. And so he felt, well, if I play the cello, then we just call it an orchestra, because I want an orchestra in our town. And I'll try my best to remember the others that were on that original Nevada leadership group. Jody Melcher, who still lives here in town, and as I mentioned, Rob Bacon, and a couple others that are no longer with us, but were fantastic leaders at that time, Jim Matke and F.C. Parrish. We're very passionate about getting this started, and FC was a councilman and was very good about keeping it going in the early years.
Very cool. And I know we've talked before about Leadership Nevada and some of the things that have come out of that. I know Nevada Nice was one of those, so it's good to see a Leadership Nevada initiative that's been around for 20 years. That's pretty exciting and still going strong. So maybe tell us a little bit about this season upcoming and what people can expect.
Mm-hmm. Well, the band itself rehearses on Monday nights. And every week it's a new set of 7 pieces of music, and then we give our concerts at 7 p.m. on Tuesday evenings at City Hall at the pavilion there. And concerts start at 7. We're wrapped up by 8 o'clock. And we always have a break in the middle that we call our intermission, where somebody from the community shares their talents. Tonight we had Jack O'Leary as a piano and singer. He's very entertaining. And we have a variety of others. Next week, we actually have a high school student who wanted to share some of her talents. Her name is Beth Sloan. She's got a beautiful voice and can play the ukulele, so I'm looking forward to having her and some others. Shipley Pickers have been a bluegrass group that has been playing forever. Tom Richards, I believe. We haven't reached out to Tom yet, but we're hoping that we can arrange something for him this summer.
So if someone listening to this podcast decides they want to be a part of the band, is there a process for that, or?
Well, we have been keeping a very low-key process, because what I talked to the band about is the name of the band is the Nevada Community Band, with an emphasis on community. So all the musicians are volunteers. Many of them have music degrees and so forth, and many of them don't. And so we're always opening the door for people that just want to play. You do have to have a background, because we don't really have the resources to start them from scratch on a brand new instrument, but we've had somebody I'm thinking of from last year who hadn't touched her instrument in 20 or 30 years and was a little hesitant, and I said, well, you sit in on the practice, and then she ended up playing many concerts. So if they are interested in doing that, they can reach out to us. We do have a Nevada Community Band Facebook page, and that's a good place to get started to let us know that they're interested.
Very cool. And what types of music do you have on the docket this year for folks that might be interested in hearing?
Sure. Well, I'm kind of following a very long-standing summer community band kind of format, but we always play a couple marches. There's folks that love those, and then we'll try to throw in a lyrical piece, a kind of somewhat serious or classical piece of music, but always want to find a couple that people are familiar with, medleys and so forth. So for example, tonight we started with a march by Carl King, and then we played a medley of some cartoon melodies, followed up by a really nice arrangement of a hymn, Come Thou Fount of Every Blessing, followed it up with the march from the movie Patton, then we had our intermission, and we came back with an original piece called Sands of Sahara, and then a medley from Lion King, and we finished up with another march. And then we kind of follow that format every week.
Something for all ages there.
Yeah.
Yes. So I know another new thing was some of the sponsorships last year and getting some businesses bought in, and I think that's brought out some new excitement. So I don't know if you have anything to say about some of that, but
yeah. Well, it's been a very exciting way to get businesses involved in the community and help us with some of our funding. We're very fortunate. The city does provide funds that help us with our expenses, which include paying for the conductor's time, getting the concerts prepped and so forth. But then we've had businesses that, like this first concert was sponsored by Wurtsy Construction, and we've had others. I don't know if I want to mention some of them because everything's not lined up, but we've been getting every week a business sponsor, and then that funding is used in a city account for expenses such as, we have to replace some of our polos or get some new sheet music and things like that. That's been a very great additional source of income for the band.
Great.
Yeah, so I have a question. I was talking to two of the band members, and they told me to ask you about Wadeism.
Well,
What
I'm
is
guessing they
Wadeism?
might be some of the current high school band members. That's something that some of them kind of just created last year. I'm not quite sure exactly what they mean, but it's just kind of, this is what I look at it, as a way of kind of involving all of the band members, as a way that we are kind of our own community and our family and so forth. And some of them have gone a little far. I might say it might tip into kind of an Avengers sort of storyline, and they may have a very lengthy handwritten 8-page book about the entire historical background of Wadeism. That might take an entire podcast on its own to explain.
Might have a new topic for the future there.
But we do have a symbol. Some of them made T-shirts, and they have their own hand symbol. It's getting a little bit. Well, I'm letting them go with it.
Yeah, and so you talked a little bit about the beginning about the concert. So maybe plug a little bit more how people that want to come listen can know how to look for the band, or where to find out information about the band, or when and where concerts are.
Yeah, thank you. So as I said, our concerts are every week at 7 p.m. at City Hall unless the weather is bad. And so we try to put out some weekly social media posts through various pages on Facebook. I try to catch many of the ones, Nevada Nice, several others that are out there, and have a few people that check onto Instagram. I am trying to do better about getting things into the newspaper. Sometimes the timing is a little tricky for me to time that right, and I feel badly when I don't get it in the newspaper. But we have concerts every single week through the months of June, and then on July 2nd will be our patriotic concert, and then we'll have a group in the parade on the 4th of July, and then we will end our season on July 9th with a community jazz band.
Very cool. So every Tuesday in June,
Every
and
Tuesday
then
in
July
June.
2nd and July 9th, with
Yes.
the 9th being the jazz.
Yes.
And obviously plug that for the July 4th parade, and hopefully folks come out with that too and see the band in that.
Yeah.
So is there anything else you'd like to add for the group that we didn't ask about?
It's just a really great feeling to see so many people. We have the largest number in the band that I can recall, and even though I've been involved in every 20 years, my memory might not be 100%, but last night we had 45 band members, and it's just exciting when I get an email through the winter saying, hey, I haven't touched my instrument, or I'm new to town and I would just love to keep playing. I'll just say, I'll show up at the first week, and actually I think that's kind of how things started with Brett Barker and lots of others, and it's something that they can kind of come in and out of, and it's really great to have that resource for a community our size.
Yeah, so I'll plug that too. Wade doesn't make you be there every single concert. You come when you can. So if you can play a few concerts and want to refresh yourself on whatever instrument you play, I'm sure you'd be welcome.
And the rehearsals are an hour long. We start at 7, we're out of there packed up by 8, and I choose music that isn't going to tax the group too much. We just try to make sure we can get everything in one take and maybe hit a couple things, and just an hour of their time on Monday is usually all we need.
So 7 o'clock on Monday nights rehearsal, and where is that?
Yeah, I haven't mentioned that. That is at the Nevada High School Band Room, and I asked people to use the outdoor entrance instead of the main entrance to the high school. Over there, there's a parking lot over there across from the football field, or near the football field.
Very cool.
So for sponsorships real quick, are there any openings, like any weeks where you still need a sponsor? And if so, kind of how much is that? And
To my knowledge, we have one sponsor already booked for the remainder of the season, and there are others that have sponsored in the past, but I haven't had any firm information on that. But the sponsorship level that we've been asking is $125 per week.
Okay.
And then we'll announce that at the concert, and if I know enough ahead of time and can kind of get some social media out ahead of time on that, and then we'll do our best to get some photos afterwards and put them out to some of those social media spots so they get some recognition for helping us out.
So, can Nevada Nice sponsor again this year?
Absolutely.
We would love to do that.
Absolutely.
Very cool. Well, thanks, Stephanie.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, that was, and that was great. We had, I believe, some other things that went along with the sponsorship last year, some treats, but I'm not gonna request anything at this time.
Yeah, we'll figure out something nice.
Yeah. Last year there were freebies. I think the
Yeah.
city council served ice cream at one, ice cream social type thing. So yeah, some very fun things at the different concerts. We'd encourage you to come out and support the band, and hopefully keep that energy and excitement going for this 20th year and to the next 20 years. So yeah, with that we'll sign off and thank everybody for listening again. And as usual, make sure to send us comments, feedback, topics you want to hear about. And you can currently find this podcast on Google, Spotify, and Stitcher, and it's Apple pending. So anytime that should be live, and you'll be able to find it on iTunes. And yeah, with that, have a good rest of your day. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and it actually
And
got
did
it all.
Wow.
No, my problem is we got started and I was like, oh, I forgot video. So the video I started partway through, and
Oh.
but we have audio and I'll figure it
Nah,
out.
that's okay.
Yeah.
Let's put up a screenshot or something.
Yeah.